This is easily the most broken game I have attempted to play in all of 2021. This does not work, the lobbies are crashing, the servers themselves are not online, there's limited weapons, there's only 2 game modes, there's only 7 maps. Battlefield 2042 absolutely sucks. Do not buy it. Now, the point of this video is I'm going to try and convince you exactly why this game is such a freaking mess, and why there is a tiny slice of it that I unfortunately enjoyed. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is my brutally honest review of Battlefield 2042. Now, where do I even start with this? Let's begin at the beginning. So this is a new game that's just come out, except technically it hasn't. This is currently the early access version of it that reviewers have, and also if you paid $100, this is the ultimate edition of it. And even in this early state, the servers cannot seem to handle the tiny limited player base. Everything about this game is a completely glitchy catastrophe. In fact, this has been out for about 30 hours now. There is already over 1,400 reported errors in the game itself. These bugs range from tiny errors of just textures not loading, all the way up to some very major stuff like the fact that sometimes your gun won't fire or enemies can be immune to bullets. This game is constantly just shredding itself to bits. Now, here's the part of this that definitely frustrates me the most, is the fact that there is no single player in this. If you want to play Battlefield 2042, this is an online-only experience, and more than that, it has no story. There's no campaign, so it's not that you can just play the single player until they fix it. The only part of this experience that even exists right now is completely destroyed because of how broken the game is. I truly pity anybody who bought this. So let's talk about the 2 different game modes, the custom game lobbies, which is called Portal, and the 7 different maps. So essentially when you're playing this, there's 2 separate things you could do. There's Conquest, which is massive areas that you have to try and capture in order to get points. There's also Breakthrough mode, which has you pushing deeper into enemy territory to basically hold as many points as possible. So it's Conquest with extra steps. And Hazard Zone, which is the more tactical game type. Let me start off by talking about Hazard Zone because this is much smaller and much more technical. In this mode, you and your squad are given a direct mission, sometimes doing things like stealing hard drives or trying to just evac people or whatever like that. But here's the thing that makes this extra difficult, is that in this, you only have a single life. When you die, you are dead. Now, if you manage to explore the map, you can find things like redeploys that let you revive teammates, and you can pick up people off the ground as long as they didn't get headshots. Now, this game mode really begins to exemplify what they're clearly trying to do with Battlefield 2042, which is that this is a more serious game when it comes to on-the-fly adapting. The biggest new mechanic that they've added into Battlefield 2042 is this new thing called the plus system. During the course of running around and trying to complete these objectives and capturing points and stuff like that, you can sometimes have a life that is 20 minutes long. Seriously, I've been alive for huge chunks of an entire match, and some of these matches do end up lasting a full hour, as long as the lobby doesn't completely implode. And when you're alive for a long time, you really begin to appreciate the plus system, because essentially the way it works is it lets you switch out specific pieces of your gun on the fly. And here's an example of a time where this is fantastic. I could switch between a scope to be extra long range and snipe people, and then as people are trying to flank me, take off the scope or change the break of the gun to actually change the range of it. This is an interesting mechanic. I mean, straight up, everything else in this game kinda sucks. The physics are broken, the speed is clunky, but when it comes to the plus system itself, this is ingenious. You really appreciate this the most in Hazard Zone, because since when you're dead, it's nice to be able to just easily swap between all the different pieces of your gun to fit that specific situation. But let's talk about Conquest. This is clearly meant to be the major aspect of the game itself. Like, this is what they want you to play for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Conquest is the mega maps. This is where you have the hundreds of people all parachuting in and trying to capture these points. But the way it works is that every time you manage to hold one of these zones, it slowly drains the enemy resources. The more of the map you own, zone, the faster the enemy is going to eventually be defeated. But the major difference here that they're trying to implement that feels futuristic, because this is Battlefield 2042, is this takes place in an era where global warming is completely ravaged the planet. The areas we're playing in are some very destroyed cities, or big blown out military bases, or sometimes just desolate wastelands because of the heat scorching the earth. The environmental detail is very, very cohesive. It's nice to see such a specific theme, and they stick to it. Everything in here looks so blown out and weather worn and really kind of damaged in a realistic fashion. Additionally, this is going to sound weird, but I give them credit for having a brighter color palette. So many freaking games these days, especially first-person shooters, are so dingy and brown and gray. It's nice to see actually green grass and gigantic blue skies. It's cool that this game has the guts to give us a little bit of interesting freaking flavor to look at. Now, the other aspect of these maps that you need to worry about is the gigantic storms that can show up. So these events, this map is just big in general, like trying to get around whenever you're trying to get a hovercraft, even though sometimes vehicles just fly when they're not supposed to. This is a game that's all about mobility. It's about trying to go from point to point as carefully as possible without getting picked off. And sometimes what can really ruin your day is a superstorm. On every single map, a huge tornado can show up and just start sucking up everything from the vehicles you're in, to people, to even just being able to just jump into the storm yourself and fly around in a wingsuit. Alright, so this right here, that's pretty cool. This is a way you can pretty easily just fly from one end of the map to the other, except for the fact that sometimes these storms can also just kill you instantaneously. It feels like there's such a terrible yin and yang of bad balancing inside of Battlefield 2042, because while certain moments like this, of being sucked up into a tornado and flying out of it, it feels like the ultimate montage bait. It feels like a game that's all about failing horribly, about having broken lobbies, and then getting that one insane play that makes you smile for an hour. Like, this game is such a freaking catastrophic game, because as much as I hated 90% of it, 10% is utterly brilliant. Now let's talk a bit more about the glitches themselves. So everything you're seeing here is being played on the PlayStation 5, because originally I tried to play this on the Xbox Series X, and the game was literally broken. Not a single match would finish. Every single lobby completely melts, and it just annoys me, because why am I paying $100 for a game I can't play? Now, you may be saying, well, at least you got it to work on PlayStation 5. Well, here's the thing, even on PS5, it barely works. Straight up, even the freaking server masters themselves, the official Battlefield account, is having to tweet out, yeah, the game is really unplayable, we're sorry about that. Almost every single time you try and join a match, you can get this huge screen that says, oh, sorry, there's a persistence error. This is just one of the glitches. Sometimes you'll have other stuff where you'll just get kicked out of a game for no reason. One of the most annoying ones, sometimes you'll sit in queue, you're sitting there waiting for the match to start. I sat here for 7 minutes. It said that people were joining, and then it just put me back in the lobby. And then even when you do get in the lobby, here's something that personally pisses me off. There are no scoreboards, there's no kill death ratios, and even if you do get into a match, after each and every lobby, it kicks you out. You can't do multiple matches with the same people. It's stupid to me that they're making this. Like, is this so they can have some sort of like skill-based matchmaking? I don't understand what the logic is of trying to make a game that just constantly slams on the brakes. Like, since you keep kicking me out, and since 90% of the time the lobbies are going to crash, it makes it where sometimes there would be 30 or 40 minutes between getting into a successful match. It is insane to me. And then even when you are in this, there's not a lot of content. There is not a lot of guns in general. Even as I leveled up and tested out things like the shotguns and the sniper rifles, you realize that the balance, the closer you look at this, the game is incredibly busted. Like, here's one of the main problems that everybody is incredibly pissed about right now, myself included. Sniper rifle bullets are the slowest in the entire game. This is such a clear error in the game itself. So when you get a sniper rifle and shoot it, the bullets fall out of the sky like it's a freaking airplane without gas. Whereas if you use a different gun, but with the sniper scope on it, the bullet range is better and faster. So a lot of times I would get an assault assault rifle and put a scope on it and be killing people from miles away? Why is it that I'm in the future and I have a gun that sucks so bad I might as well be throwing rocks at people? Like seriously, the sniper rifle, I spent so many hours just trying to get some good headshot footage and bullets are just falling on the ground and I'm getting killed by people who are practically just blind firing their assault rifle from a half a mile away. Everything about this game annoys the heck out of me, but the strangest part about this game is that secretly within it, they've actually packaged together the previous Battlefields. So stuff like Battlefield Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 are tucked inside of this. You can even play the old ones from like Battlefield 1942. They're inside this game if you go into portal mode. This allows you to play the previous versions of them, but seemingly with updated graphics. And so I actually spent almost all of last night just testing out the retro content, going through World War II moments, playing VIP, shooting people in the head with all these different crazy stuff, unleashing rocket launcher justice in these jungles. And what's weird is that the retro game modes that are inside of Battlefield 2042 work perfect. Like, I'm seriously losing my mind here. The sniper rifles from 100 years ago work better than the sniper rifles that are apparently from Battlefield 2042. This game is so busted, it feels like they didn't even test it. How did nobody actually say, "Huh, this doesn't work"? I am so frustrated because the parts of this that are the most fun are when you're playing the old school content. Every time I actually logged into the servers of Battlefield 2042, a lot of times I just wanted to break my controller because I was so frustrated at how destroyed, how limited, and how poorly balanced this game is. Do not buy Battlefield 2042. If you're watching this in the future, perhaps you're going, "Oh, well, the game works great now." Well, you know what? I'm reviewing this currently on November 13th, so congratulations that you're in the future when the game is actually fixed. Currently, as it comes out, it is a destroyed mess, and I, as a fan, am extremely disappointed. Alright, so we've heard a lot of bad and a tiny bit of good. Let's go over the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Battlefield 2042 a 4 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this video, gamers. If you enjoyed it, please give it a gigantic thumbs up. Liking the video does help it in the algorithm. Hopefully this video can get 5,000 or 10,000 likes, so it was worth all the ridiculous amount of stress and annoyance I had to put up with. I love you guys very much. If you'd like, please subscribe, and you know what? Have a great day, but do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I do want to do a gigantic shout out to my friend DreamcastGuy. He actually played this game super late last night with me. He is a great dude. He actually does this like cool YouTube channel where he like checks out people's game rooms and stuff. Super chill guy. Thank you so much, DreamcastGuy, for hanging out with me and doing all those incredibly broken lobbies. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.